Hi, I'm Mark Pearce from Intelligent Triathlon Training. Today I'm going to be talking to you about alignment in freestyle swimming, why it's important, what it actually is, and what you can do to make you a faster, more efficient swimmer. So let's have a look, see what we're talking about. Alignment is a really important part of your stroke because it helps to put you in the right position to be able to generate power and force, which will obviously create speed. The other thing that great alignment does is also reduces the resistance that you get from the water. Now, if your alignment's off, you can create an additional wiggle, which increases the surface area of your body, which means you've got to go to more of you through the water. You're trying to get yourself through the smallest hole you can, like you would in bike aerodynamics. You're trying to go through a small hole. If your alignment's off and you're pulling yourself in one direction and another, you will increase the size of that hole and therefore increase the resistance that you have to overcome. If your alignment is poor and you're not using the greatest muscle mass that you can do, you're getting a double whammy. So you're increasing your surface area that you need to transport through this hole in the water, and you're reducing the muscles that you can use to do it. So you're getting a double whammy going backwards. So if you improve your alignment, you can improve the quality of the stroke by improving the muscle mass that you're using to propel yourself through the water. You can have a more efficient stroke because you will be able to catch more water, hold more water, and do it with less energy. And you will have a smaller hole to go through. So there's three key factors in why alignment is important. So what actually is alignment? What do we count as alignment and what are we looking for within your stroke? Well, let's have a look. So we're going to use Mr. Smooth as our example here because he has a perfect stroke, and perfect stroke is a bit of an anomaly because nobody actually has a perfect stroke. Everybody's got slight errors in it. However, what this demonstrates is the key points where we're working towards. You don't have to mimic this model, but you do have to take into consideration some of the key points that we are on here. Now, it doesn't matter what type of stroke we look at, whether it's a high arm recovery, a bent arm recovery, or an open water stroke, a short choppy stroke, a slow long stroke. There are certain key things that will always happen in all of those strokes, and one of those is the alignment. The first point that we're looking for is where the hand enters the water. Now, as we can see from the model here, hand entry is coming in about shoulder width apart. Okay, and then extending forward in line with the shoulder. At no point, up to this point here, and as we go forward, at no point does his hand come in front of his head. And this doesn't really matter whether it's, if you know these models, then the Miss Swinger model, you will see the same on that. And if you look at any of the great swimmers, any efficient swimmers, then you will see their hands rarely ever go in front of their heads. They are always shoulder width apart. Now, they're not wider than shoulder width apart. They're not entering too wide because that creates another imbalance, and that's a misalignment. But we're really focusing upon that hand entry in front of the shoulder. And then the second phase we look at is sort of mid phase here. So when they're into the starting to get the catch phase here. And again, we can see from that the hand is underneath the shoulder. That's what we're looking for. And then as it goes back, it's still underneath his shoulder. So there might be a slight in sweep, there might be a slight out sweep. But fundamentally, it is underneath the shoulder. It's not over here. And it's not out here, which is quite a common error that we see with a lot of swimmers. Trying to get a high elbow, they end up with their arms extremely wide and again, consequently reduce the muscle mass that you can hold. If you are catching very wide, then imagine you've got a rope along the bottom of the pool. If you're trying to pull it from a very wide stance, you're going to pull yourself in the opposite direction. And the same is true in swimming. If your catch is very wide, if that catching arm is out here, and we're doing this, and we see this with a great number of swimmers, then every time you pull there, you're going to pull yourself in the opposite direction. You're going to come this way. And then if the other arm's doing the same, so you're going to get that slight, even if it's only slight, you're still going to be doing this down the water, which increases the width of your shoulder, increases the resistance that you've got to overcome. Conversely, if the hand is slipping underneath there, then you can't generate any force because you can't use your pecs and your back properly. And really, you're just swimming with one arm then. And that's most common. We see it on a breathing stroke. So if we look at it at decent speed, then we can see that alignment is continually coming through underneath the body. So in this drill, which is kicking on your side or javelin, or there's a variety of different names, but you can see the execution of it here. What we're trying to do with this drill is basically get that front arm position in the correct place, so the proprioception of the swimmer, they know where their shoulders are at that point. And for me, it's really important in this one not to be over-rotated. So if this top shoulder here is over too far, what we quite often see is swimmers swimming along here, and then you're right over the top and your head position's all wrong. And what inevitably happens is this arm comes over here and swings over. What you're trying to do is get you to swim it. When you swim, shoulders won't open up much more than that. And that's kind of the position that you want to be able to hold your javelin in. So this hand is nicely in line with the shoulder. It's not over here and it's not over there. It's nicely in line here. And what we can see from a demonstration here is a really nice straight line from the hand through the shoulders, through the hips, through the middle of the kick. Okay, nicely in line along there. And that's one of the key positions that we're looking for from javelin kicking on your side drill, is that alignment. Now, if you can't control your rotation enough, Chris is doing a really good job of controlling the rotation there, so he can get his top shoulder nearly on top of his bottom shoulder. But if you struggle with that rotation, then come round a little bit more. You don't need to get that shoulder over. You'll never rotate that much in your full stroke. So just roll your hips in a little bit more and just have your shoulders a little bit less open, and focus upon getting that right arm or left arm, depending on which you're doing, the extended arm out in front and shoulder width apart. If you can only do that because you're flat, you're kind of missing the point. And again, when we see quite a lot of people starting to do this drill, they end up very flat in the water. The point of this drill is called kicking on your side. So you should be on your side, at least partially. We also look at the placement of the hand. So again, you're trying to we don't want the hand across the side. We want the hand pointing to the end of the pool. So that alignment is your hands out here. Your fingers are nice and relaxed. You're not death grip. You reduce the surface area of your hand. It's not an alignment point, it's just a coaching point. You want nice relaxed fingers, and you want your fingers below your wrist. So you've got this sort of position here. And the internal rotation of your shoulder is absolutely vital. So if you're just swimming along, kicking on your side like that, you kind of miss the point. Okay, internal rotation from your shoulder, so that its elbow comes up and your fingertips pointing down and your shoulder width apart. That's the alignment you want. So it's not just as simple as stick your arm out, swim on your side, look at the ceiling. Okay, there's a lot of focus needs to go into this, because what you're trying to do from this drill is you'll learn the feeling of where your hand and your shoulder are in space at that particular time within the stroke. The other thing that's really important with this drill is where your arm is underneath the water. Now again, we often see the execution of this drill with people trying to get their hand as close to the surface of the water as possible, which means they drop their elbow and they drop their shoulder. That's not internally rotated. If they were to be able to do that, you would be Michael Phelps or some other top swimmer. It's incredibly difficult to do this drill effectively with your elbow very, very close to the surface of the water. You need ridiculous flexibility, ridiculous strength. And in the practical world, it isn't real for most non-super elite swimmers. So what we're looking for really is your hand at a depth where you can control that rotation. So you've got internal rotation of your shoulder, popping that over, your hand in line with your shoulder, your fingertips drop down. Now if you can do that and you can get that position, sort of, let's draw a little bit of line on here. If you can get that so that your shoulder is coming out here and you've got your elbow here and you can get your hand to there, brilliant. That's great, good on you. But if you can't, put your hand a little bit lower. Chris can catch higher. He's a reasonably competent triathlon swimmer, and he could catch higher. But for demonstration purposes, we don't need it to be up there. You're learning about the alignment of the stroke. Where your hand is, okay, it isn't about being right up as high as you can get it. It's about doing the drill right and learning something. Remember to drop your fingertips as well, so that you're getting ready for that catch position. Now if we just play this on, we can see face down in the water, holding that position, good kick, turning his head to breathe and putting his face back in the water, continuing to breathe out. All the points that we've talked about in previous videos. Let's look at that again. Another drill that's really good for this alignment, and it just adds an extra layer of complexity to the issue and brings in the other arm a little bit, is pop-off. Now what you're doing here is we can see we've got a little bit of rotation. It's not quite vertically, so his shoulder's not quite on one on top of the other. Hand extended out in front, fingertips pointing to the end of the pool. And then with the recovering arm, zip it up the side, put it back down again, and then bring the arm over. And look where the hand entered in line with the shoulder and extended out in front of him. Holding that position there, zip, and over, and entering in line with his shoulder. Nicely executed. Another variation of a drill that would work for this is the broken arrow drill. And again, this is a slightly more complex version, but it starts with javelin. Now on this drill, you're looking to get that alignment on the side, bending the elbow, and then entering it in front of the shoulder. We can see that a nice alignment. So again, nice shoulder width apart. But the other thing we're also balancing, don't focus just upon the hand that's above the water. If we look at what happens with the hand underneath the water, he's catching and pulling underneath. Let's just slow it down. So hand nicely extended in front, over on his side. Get that rotation, hand up, bend the elbow. And then drive it into the water, shoulder width apart, while the other hand, now look at this hip, so we've got the hand entering here, and we've got the other arm catching underneath the water, hand nicely underneath the shoulder, ready to get a really powerful catch and press through to the back. Another drill that we can use is the 6-1-6 drill. Now this is probably the earliest evolution or development from the javelin drill, where essentially you're in javelin position or kicking on side position, and then you just take one stroke. Now with this drill, we'll come back and play this a little bit slower. We'll play this slower. So we've got driving into the javelin position, quick breath, face back in the water, left arm extended, right shoulders over the top, so he's nice and open, rotated. Now, as he starts to initiate the movement, so we've done 6 kicks. We've got the recovering arm coming over the water, but pay attention here. The front arm here is still out in front. As this arm comes through, he will then begin the catch, and that catch is nicely underneath the body. So we've got great alignment there. And again, 6 kicks. Don't expect you to count exactly 6 kicks, you get the idea. We've got the recovering arm doing its job. We're in a nicely rotated position. And as this arm comes past his ears, the right arm is just starting its catch. And hand underneath the shoulder all the way through. Widest point of him is his elbow. Now at this stage, there are a couple of things going on. So we've got 3 phases here that you want to be thinking about with this alignment side of things. So at this point here, we've now got the right arm's going to enter the water and extend out in front of him. The right hip's going to drive round and rotate round to put him in a really great position to get that catch. And at the same time as this is happening, the left arm is starting that catch. So we've now got nice diagonal tension from the left shoulder to the right hip, which enables a lot more force to be produced if that hand stays underneath the body. So hopefully you found that useful in explaining why your alignment is important to your freestyle, and a couple of key drills on how to go about improving it. Key things to look at within them, how to execute them, and then transferring them back to your full stroke. And remember, if there's one thing you remember, you want to learn to swim full stroke. The drills are just practice to be put back into your full stroke. There's no point in executing a drill and then forgetting everything you've just done in that when you swim. Okay, so when you turn, so normally we will do a drill as 25 drill, 25 swim. And within that, you want to then be thinking, what are the key points? When I turn and I go into my full stroke, what are the key points that I'm taking from that drill, from that last 25 I've just done, and what am I going to do with it in the next 25? Now, you can't focus upon all the points that I've just raised in every single part of that drill. You can only think of 1 or 2 things maximum at a time. So you have to be thinking about, what is it this time that I am going to focus upon? Is it my hand entry? Is it my timing? Is it the kick that I'm doing? Is it my rotation? Is it where my fingertips are, or the internal rotation of my shoulder? What is it that you're going to focus upon when you come back? So with that, we'll leave you and see you in the next video. If you like these and you find them useful, please like and subscribe to the channel. It does help, and it lets me know that you're interested in what I've got to say. See you next time.